Ely. This is a show about you, your life, and the vibrancy you want. Join us for daily motivation, wise women's tips, and more as we collectively gather together and move the needle in our lives, heart, mind, body, and soul. Now, here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
It is Thirsty Thursday, and I already see Catherine and Helen in the house. Welcome. You know what that is. You know what today's all about, right? You hot milk 30ers. Good to have you here, Jocelyn, as well. And of course, our dream team is here. You know them. That's Amber, Lindsay, and Jenny behind the steering wheel here. Angie, good to have you here. Beth, it's good to see you. Carla, Carol, Flynn is in the house. There's my girl, Nancy. Cheers to you, Nancy. And who else do we have? Tracy. I need some glasses. I can't see anything, right? Anyway, we're Hot Milk 30 all the way. Yahoo, yippee yahoo. Giddy up. Who's doing it? Pinkies up if you're here for Hot Milk 30. Patricia, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. If you're here for Hot Milk 30, here's to you. What am I drinking? I get asked this all the time. I am drinking Hot Melt Mix. This is exogenous ketones, helps you to stay in ketosis. Guess what happens when you're in ketosis? Psh, psh, that's me shedding some fat here. Psh, psh, psh. And then I've got serious breakfast at Tiffany's vibes. That's hysterical. I'm sweaty from, I did a Tabata today. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Hot Milk Mix is also has electrolytes in it. So it's going to help you with how you feel, and it's also going to help you with weight loss. It's really good stuff. Yes, it is. Yes, it is good stuff. There's my pinkies. Look at all those pinkies going up. I love it. So good to have you all here. It's good. We're going to have a good time today. So here is our quote of the week from Carol Burnett. Isn't this wise? Only I can change my life. No one can do it for me. She figured that one out, didn't she? She was on her own path. She's got quite a story. Also, check out our supplement of the week, which is the Vibrant Body Detox. We have a great deal on it. You can buy 2, get 1 free. Usually it's buy 3, get 1 free. It's buy 2 and get 1 free. You will love this. I take this every single night to support my body as it's doing the natural things that it's usually doing, which is detoxing. That's the work your body's doing cleanup on aisle 5. Check it out at savingdinner.com/show to go see what it's all about. You're going to love it. Absolutely fun stuff. Also, you need to know about 2 full bloom events coming up. The first one is April 23rd. It is around the corner. It's all about making magic because it's the key to your vibrancy and to your purpose, by the way. And that's going to be held on Saturday, April 23rd. It is virtual. So you get to do it in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to leave. But if you go to savingdinner.com/bloom, you will find how to get your seat. And let me just tell you that swag bag is on point. You'll be getting it in the mail and you'll just be going, bam, that's just going to rock my world. We also have July 29th and 30th coming up for an event right here at my house. Details are coming. But right now is a good time to get your airline reservations and get your hotel right here in Brevard, North Carolina. Got any questions about that? Just send them into support@savingdinner.com. We will support you. We will help you out with all of that. Sue is in the house. Hello, Sue. I'm glad you're here. And don't forget, when you have an opportunity to get extraordinary discounts simply by using your cell phone. You can get text messages from us simply by sending a text to 855-960-3720. Put the word join in the message, and then we will reply back to you. You need to reply back to us and say yes, all in caps, both join and yes, all in caps, so that we can get you set up. Does that sound like a deal? I love it. Gracie's here. So's our girl, Darla. Glad to have you here. It's going to be so much fun. I just, I can't even talk about it because I'm so excited about what's going to happen for the in-person event. Hello, Lisa. Look at her. That's dedication. Even though she's getting spotty reception, she's still trying. Good for you. Question and answer is tomorrow. You have until the end of the show to get them in. Yeah, the pressure's on. All you have to do is send an email to support@savingdinner.com and put question for Leanne and Friday in the subject line, and then, drop it like it's hot. Put all the questions that you have. I will answer them. It's really fun. Everybody loves Q&A. Everybody loves a good Q&A. Terry's in the house. Hi, Alice. You too. So glad to have you here. We are in the middle of either the sprint or we've just begun the Hot Melt 30. That's for the entire month of April. Never too late. Go to savingdinner.com/30, THIRTY. You can watch the replay of the webinar that's there, and you can find out what this is all about, because I am telling you, it is a sight to behold. It really is the thing that's going to move the needle in your life. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. And that's what we have for you today. That's everything. Hey, Chris. Lisa's saying hello to the dream team. That's so sweet. Chris is in the house as well. We're so glad to have you here. And today we're going to finish up our series that we've been talking about all week about clapping back. We have to clap back. I love that clap back idea, because it's just saying no, and it's bringing your brain to attention. Enough of that. Sometimes these things go under the radar. Have you noticed that? Seriously, they go under the radar. We don't even notice that we're doing them. So here's how this whole thing works about what we're going to be talking about next, because I want to clap back against failure. Failure. We talked on Monday. You remember, you were here, right? We talked on Monday how we label ourselves. And I made a very, I probably said it about 3 or 4 times, a distinction between saying I am a failure versus having an event be a failure, right? We don't want to label ourselves so harshly and so debilitatingly, right? Is that such a word? It is now. So we want to be saying, I failed at X, Y, and Z, not I am a failure. There's a gigantic difference between the two. And today we're going to be talking about when we go through failures, as in I failed at X, Y, and Z, and the lessons we can glean from them so that we can do better the next time. There's always a next time. Because I will tell you right now, the whole thing is we've got grit, not quit. That's what failure does. Failure makes us say, oh, I'm just not good at that. I'm not going to do it anymore. When in fact, what we should say is, okay, so what did I learn from that? And how do I get better so I don't make the same mistakes? And this time I knock it out of the park. That's what we're talking about. And failure is a lack of success, trying and not making it. But at least you tried. So, as you know, Marla Silly and I, the Fly Lady, wrote a book called Body Clutter. This is back in 2005, and then it went to our publisher in 2007, and we had a New York Times bestseller for 8 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. And then when I wrote Part-Time Paleo in 2014, hard to believe it was that many years ago, but when I wrote that, my agent said to me, she said, because you were on the New York Times bestseller list before, their chances are, they're going to be looking at you and seeing if they can bring you on, I don't know, whatever the stuff was. And she also told me that one of the biggest things that I needed to do was make sure that I got into small stores. Well, small bookstores. Well, if I'm putting my blankie on my legs. I'm starting to get cold now that I've cooled off a little bit. But as you know, what I did was I went all over Kingdom Come. I drove everywhere on the Eastern Seaboard and flew into Austin and had all these little small bookstores where I did a lot of stuff, and I paid for that book tour out of my own pocket. And 1 week the first week she said, "Oh my gosh, you're so close," but she didn't make it. And the next week, more book tour, more whatever, me really working it hard and working with affiliates, doing all of that, working, really close, but I didn't make it. And you know what? It was an almost story. It was almost, but not quite. And now that I look back on it, yeah, at the time I was crushed. I was thinking I should be able to do this. Nope, didn't happen. But it didn't matter because several things, once I did a whole evaluation of what happened, the rules had changed. We did it simply by just emailing and saying, hey, this is what's going on, especially with Marla. She's got a big email list, and we got it. We weren't intending on that, but it happened. And for me, it was a goal that I had when I was in 8th grade. I wanted to be a writer. But, there's a whole story that goes with that. But the point is that making the list and the first time and then not making it this time, I said it was just a failure. It really wasn't. It was an experience, and it taught me so much about the whole publishing business and how things changed, the fluctuation in the whole thing. And I kind of made up my mind at that point that, I don't want to do that again. And I haven't since. Does that mean I will never? I don't know. Maybe I will. But the point is, I hit those goals, and that failure merely showed me what things were all about and what it would take to get to that next level. And the reason why, just quite frankly, there was a lot of people gaming the system with a whole lot of money. Enough money that you go buy a house for cash so that they could get their book on the New York Times bestseller list. And it got really crazy wackadoodle. So fine. That's what happened. I get it. But you know what? You know what the next thing is? Do you know what the next thing that's so great about the whole thing is? That I left this whole experience with an understanding of what it was about. And I stopped labeling myself as a failure and just say that was a failed attempt at doing something that just didn't work out. And I'm okay with it now. So today we're going to clap back against that kind of failure that comes from not about negligence or not giving it your all, but about having something where you did give it your all and it just didn't work out, just like the story I just told you. Because you know what the deal is? We all fail. We're humans. It's part of the whole human experience. We don't get to change that. It's just the way it is, because we don't do things perfectly. We do things excellently. And even in that excellence, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a triumph. It doesn't. There's a whole lot of other things involved. Like I said, the rules change sometimes. The way things are done changes sometimes. You don't get a guarantee ever on all of these. So I want to look at, instead of taking things personally when it comes to failure, how we can then extrapolate the lesson and learn from it so that we can go forward, so it can make us better, so it can build up our grit and not the quit. What do you think about that? Because failure shows us what works and what doesn't it? Definitely it does. And it shows us what to keep doing and what to stop doing. We need that. We need to know that, because not everything that we do is going to come out smelling like a rose. Just plain and simple. That's the way it works. And it also helps us to refine and redefine perhaps our priorities. Just like I told you, my priority shifted and changed in 2014 when that whole list thing didn't happen, because I gave it so much. First of all, the energy that goes into writing a book is tremendous. And then going through the whole editorial process, that's tremendous. And then at that point, you're pretty much in charge of marketing your own book. And there's a lot that goes into that. And it took me away from my business. And I was just, it was mad dash, lots of scattered stuff. And it's just, I just finally made a decision. It's just not something. I've done it. I can check that off the list because that was a goal, but I don't have to go and relive it. I don't have anything to prove. That failure of what happened isn't a reflection on me. It was a reflection on how the rules had changed, and maybe about the book. The paleo was starting to go down when I had that contract 18 months prior. Paleo was the rage, and they were so excited about this book. Just previous to this book coming out, they said, yeah, paleo's not quite the thing anymore. Looks like keto's the thing. And I'm like, well, I've got this whole freaking book done, you know? And they say, yeah, but maybe we should change the title. And I'm like, what do we change the title to? So we stayed with that. And, you know, that was part of it. It wasn't a hot topic like keto was at the time. So what? We need the clarity, however, to be able to go back and to analyze fully what the heck is going on. And we need to analyze without being paralyzed and say, oh my gosh, I'm just such a, you know, fill in the blank. And, you know, not taking it personally. I'm going to go right now and tell you right now, because I've experienced this personally myself. It's tough because you put your heart and soul in something and then it fails. You know, I had another business that I started that I'm still paying debt off right now, by the way. And it was called Practitioners Portals, and it was for practitioners to be able to menu plan and what have you. I hired a whole staff of recipe writers. I had investor money and the whole bit. And you know what we had? I had a docket of superstars who said yes. They gave me money to, you know, startup money for the whole thing. I mean, their licensing fee, and then they never launched. It was called, failure to launch. And boy, did I learn a lesson from that. Cost me a lot of money. It cost me a lot of. I'm still paying it off. And I will tell you right now that failure there. What did I learn? I learned that just because somebody does something, says yes to something, it doesn't mean they're going to hold to it unless you have that written into the contract, right? That was one of the things that I learned. And you know what? I didn't take that personally. That wasn't on me that they failed to launch. That was on them that they did that. Although, I am the one who paid the cost and am still paying. It was a failure, though. But look, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still standing. But I want you to know something here. And this is going to sound so bizarre, but hang in there with me. Do you know sometimes that failure can end up being an inspiration because of your reluctance to quit on yourself? And that's what I had to draw from this. And I'm not going to let that take me down. And unlike some people who will say, well, that was a failed business and too bad on the XYZ, how much money you invested in my company. I'm just, that entity is no longer standing. I'm going to walk away from it. That happened to Mark. He invested in a company that, on my recommendation, that they ended up selling, and he didn't get his money. And you know what? That's a crappy thing to do. What you do is you stand in your integrity and you stand in the lessons learned, and you take care of your debt. You pay the price of what it costs to do something risky. You know, you just do, because it's the right thing to do. It's what you do for your friends. It's what you do for people that you care about. It's what you do because your integrity is at stake. Failure isn't the end of the road. What the end of the road is when you try to shortcut your way out of not having to pay your debt. Don't even get me started on that one. So I would also say that failure seeds creativity. Now, I had to shift in a big way, and I'm talking to you about all my failures. I shared my stage failure with you when I got sick 2 times, right in a row with 2 speaking engagements. I shared my, a lot of different, I'm sharing my New York Times bestselling, attempt that didn't work out. I shared my business that didn't work out. And I'm sharing you right now, that I had to shift in a serious way in 2018 when it was just everybody was doing menus, recipes, and shopping lists and giving them away for free. My business was built on Menu Mailer, if you remember back in the day. The whole thing was built on that. I had a whole staff of people who got paid because of that. And then they're gone. Then all of a sudden, my subscriptions just went boop, fell down, just slid. And I thought, what am I going to do? That's when I pivoted and said, I'm a nutritionist. I've always wanted to do my own supplement line. Pivot. Here we are. We're doing supplements now. And you know what? It wasn't a failure. It was that the time was up for the menu stuff. We still have it. We still create them every single week. And we have a handful of subscribers still, not like we used to. We still have subscribers. But the point is that you pivot, that you get the creativity. I started two things. I started NutriCoach in 2018, and I started my supplement line, both of them in earnest. Let's just see what's going on here, because I'm not going to quit on myself. I am not a failure. 2 failed attempts does not make me a failure. It just means it's time to pivot. It's the same thing for you. You know, maybe you didn't end up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt like I did. And by the way, that's almost paid off. I've been paying it off religiously, working my butt off to get it done. I haven't screwed anyone out of money. I paid back a huge line of credit to my bank, you know, and you want to hear something? I just side note here, but I had the guy that I worked with, he was wonderful. And he retired shortly after everything was done. And he said, I've never met anyone who hasn't just tried to get out of it and asked to just have the note written off. And he said, I can't believe you're doing this, and you don't have to. And I said, I'm not going to let this go down. I'm not going to go down in flames. I don't quit. I'm going to pay it off. We have the opportunity at any point to learn from our mistakes. We have the opportunity to take a peek-see at what our own integrity is about. And when you quit on yourself, you're quitting on your integrity, by the way. Does that hurt? It should. Because that's when we just throw it all away and we just say, oh, well, you know, it's like me not paying my debt. It's like you not saying you're strong enough to do this. You are. One failure is not the equivocation of your life. It just means that one thing didn't work out. So cut back on this failure business and understand it is not your moral compass that you are this failure. It's not true. You had a failed attempt. It was an event. That was it. And I'm going to tell you something too. Interestingly, opportunity finds you in the places of this vulnerability, but in this place of not quitting. It does. And I will tell you, there are lots of opportunities that have come my way that have made a difference in my life, that have changed everything, We were able, there are just so many things, and I won't even get into it all because there's a lot of there, but it is, when you have a failure, it's a clarity creator for you. You now know what you don't want, right? And you do know what you do want. And it gets rid of the fuzzy lines and it brings into focus very easily exactly what it is that you want and don't want. So, you know, think about it this way. I look at a lot of you who are here, you're here because you failed at Weight Watchers or some other pee on stick program or whatever. I have a lot of keto dropouts in my program and in my programs, I should say. And I'm grateful for that failure because I get you now. You're in my circle with my sweet ladies and lovelies, all of them right here, loving on each other, supporting and encouraging one another, and finding a community like no other. We wouldn't have had the privilege of being here without the failure. See what I mean about the opportunity? And it's fun to watch you all go from failure to going to triumph. And I get to watch this. You have to understand what a privilege this is for me. Tim Ferriss said this. Are you ready? He said, you won't believe what you can accomplish by attempting the impossible with the courage of repeatedly failing better. We can fail better when we have an eye toward the lesson learned. Perfect. So how do we fail better? Okay, I don't know how many things I have. How many things did I write down? It looks like I wrote down 4. You ready for them? And by the way, if you ever want our show notes, it's really easy to get them. All you have to do is go to savingdinner.com and a little pop-up comes up. Do you want our newsletter, The Daily Dish? And that's how you get them. Today's show is going to be in tomorrow's newsletter with all the show notes. Okay. So how do we feel better? One is decide to bounce back. That's all. It's a decision. You can retreat with your little tail between your legs. Oh, woe is me. Or you can say, you know what? Man, that wiped me out, but I'm gonna get back up and go. You can be Eeyore or you can be Tigger. I choose Tigger every time. I want to bounce back, bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. You know, this is the power that intention has, by the way, when you make this decision. That is intentional. I have made a decision that I'm not going to be defined by failure, but instead I'm going to learn by it. Instead, I'm going to extrapolate that lesson. Instead, I'm going to rise to the top. I'm not going to let this one little bump get in my way. I am on my way. I'm going to do what it is that I need to do. That's why. So when you decide to bounce back, guess what? It's easier. It's easier, less energy, and it's exhilarating to say, you know what? That's just not going to take me down. It's just not. Seriously. So here's what you got to do when this kind of a thing happens. Then, you're saying, okay, I've made this decision. So what do? You pull out all the tools. What do you have? You've got visualization. Make your vision board. What do you want? Put it on your vision board. Look at it every day and say, I'm coming for you. My house is on my vision board, and I've shared that story many a time. You need to emote over it. You need to set new goals. Clear the decks. Start over. That's what you need to do. I remember in 2018, you know what I did? I went to the dollar store and I bought all these foam boards. I bought a big, I bought a big thing of sticky notes, and I just wrote down, what could I do? What am I going to do with, everything's going down like this. What am I going to do? And I started writing things out, what I could do and what would seems like a really good idea. And out of everything, those two things that I told you about, NutriCoach and also the supplement business, they were just right in alignment with the things that were in my talent stack and also the things that I knew that I could help people with. I love to teach. I love to show people that the possibilities inside of them. I love to tell people about the science and the chemistry inside and how we can work with our bodies instead of fighting them all the time. I love all of that stuff. So why not start doing that? That's how it all works. And this is how we get past the defeat of failure and we move on by setting something up that's new. And two, can I just say this one more time? Failure is an event. It is not you. Please hold on to that. We are not defined by our failures. We're sharpened by them because it's merely an experience. It's a teaching tool, unfortunately. It hurts. It's painful. It's awful. It's depressing. It'll make you cry. Let me tell you how many tears I cried. But you know what? This is what happens, This is what happens. We have a tendency, though, to take this all personally. And when we take this all personally, we can't rise above. We take it personally, we go Eeyore, all Eeyore on ourselves. But when we say, you know what, I'm going to rise above, there is some bouncing on there. Bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. That's a decision. Merely a decision. That doesn't mean that the emotional toil of it isn't going to, creep back and the doubt isn't going to come up and like, ooh, can I really do this? Can I really pivot like this? Because I got stuck for a minute on, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to end up, being a Walmart greeter. I'm going to end up, in trouble. And, I had this big scenario going in my head, but I recognized that I had to remind myself that, like with the speaking thing, previous to all of this, I had gotten my evaluations for all my speaking and they were stellar. I was one of the top speakers. I was keynote speaker at a homeschool conference. I had the stuff, you know. It's like working customer service when I was working customer service when we first started saving dinner, you know. I would read one bad thing and start crying and forget about all the, hundreds of women who are writing in saying, "This is a lifesaver. Thank you." That's our tendencies. We focus on that thing. So what do we have to do? Number 3 is we have to reframe this. When we reframe what's up, we can start seeing things differently. Okay, so there's this guy whose name is Walter Hanley. Walter Hanley. In 1972, in Peachland, British Columbia, Canada, there was an early frost, and all those lovely little grapes that were on the vine that were supposed to be picked in the next week got iced up. His crop was destroyed. Or was it? So you know what he decided? He said, I know about this German winemaking process, and I can make this sweet dessert wine. And from then on, it was called, guess what it was called? Ice wine. Ice wine. And it became a premium product. He not only saved his crop and saved his livelihood, but he reframed what was ruinous, and it became something that actually made him famous. Ice wine. Ice wine. So that is something that we get to do too. We can make, something that's completely destroyed into something that can be something, if only we have the ability to reframe and look at it a little bit differently. And number 4 is do the work to get past it. I'm talking about all the tools that I just talked about before. Breath work, bring down the stress level. Your breath brings down the stress level and changes the entire chemistry of your body and the way that you process your stress. It just does. So does meditation. So does journaling. And I know I've seen a bunch of people say, I just don't really like journaling. You know what? Look at journaling from a different perspective, will you? Look at journaling as an opportunity to let the stuff between your ears that keeps going around and around go. Because sometimes that's the very thing that's holding you back. Sometimes when we write in our journals, we're writing nasty stuff like, ew, I hate this and I hate this and blah, 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 blah. But at least we got it out. And sometimes we're inspired and we're writing and we're writing and we're writing. But the point is, don't let everything stick up here. Get it out. And don't spend all of your time recanting the stories of how you were wronged over and over and over again to all that group of friends. That takes away from the focus that you should be having to bring back your life, to create something new. That's what that's about. So we're setting ourselves up for the next time because, yes, there's going to be a next time. There's going to be a next attempt. There is going to be a next try at something. And do you know why? Because we have grit. We don't have quit. This is my favorite mug. Isn't this great? We have a few still left in the shop. I will tell you, this reminds me every single time what I'm about. I am not about to give up. And I don't want you to either. Think about yourself in different terms. There are always lessons to be learned from failure. And clapping it back against calling yourself a failure, that's what I want you to do right now today. You will have events that are failures. You will, because we're human. But we can lean into those lessons of what they're about and allow them to teach us so that we can move forward and become the vibrant women that we are called to be, on purpose and for purpose, fearfully and wonderfully made. And don't you ever forget that. Don't you ever forget who you are. Dearly loved and highly cherished. You got that? I sure hope so. All righty. Clap back. We're done with that one. Tomorrow's Q&A. I love your questions. Can't wait to read them all and answer them on tomorrow's show live. I hope you're there. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Check back for new episodes. If you missed the live show, you can always watch the replay. You can find Saving Dinner on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, pinkies up.